Hi guys, sorry about this. You'll have to bear with me because I started a live stream. Unfortunately, I couldn't pick up. I couldn't pick up on the scheduled one, which was supposed to start at 7 p.m. I'm having a little bit of teething trouble. Sorry about this. Let me see. I'm just trying to. Okay, right. I'm getting some feedback here now. Okay, sorry about this, guys. This is people waiting on the other stream trying to get back to this one. So just bear with me a minute. Hello, Andrew. Nice to see you. And James, nice to see you. And David, nice to see you. Welcome. Um, well, I'm going to start the stream off, I think. Unfortunately, the people who are on the other stream, hopefully they can pick it up. Right. Yeah, I'll just make a little go to. Just going to put a little link. Okay. Right, there you are. Hopefully people can get back to us. Gary, hi Gary Webb. Love your vlogs, thanks. What's this? Hang on, I have to wipe my glasses. I can't quite see the light's going a bit down here at the moment. Right. Um, okay, do they still have matches on the tap, and do you ever fish Cosmeston before they ban the fishing there? Okay, Gary, well, good question that, because the thing is, we were having evening matches on the TAF, but unfortunately that died a death last year. I don't know why. Unfortunately, in South Wales, we haven't got the anglers anymore like we used to have. I remember as a kid, we used to have dozens of anglers, and they used to be sellouts, and Roath Park Lake was one of them. But unfortunately, over the years, they've either people have stopped fishing, passed away, or gone to pastures new. And as I say, we were getting half a dozen people to the TAF, and we were having some good matches there. But unfortunately, we haven't had one for a year or two. They might be resurrected next year. You never know. Cosmeston, yeah, one of the greatest lakes in South Wales. Unfortunately, can't fish it. We did tell you a little story about that quickly. When it was a barren quarry, disused, me and a friend of mine, Clive Branson, as youngsters, we used to go there and used to stock it with rudd and roach and tench. And anyway, there was some bream put in as well from Langos, and unfortunately they stopped the fishing there. And because they had to stop the fishing, the fish just were never caught. And as you know, if you go down there, you see they're huge now. They've gone massive. They bred, and they're untouched by anglers. So it's a pity, really. I think the odd people go there now and again and they catch some fish. But anyway, thanks for bringing that up. Peter Harris, hi mate. Great performance on the Y. Yeah, I'm going to come to that now in a minute. Because what I like to do on the vlog, as well as answer the questions, of course, I'm going to reflect on the last week's vlog, so you've got an idea of what went on and what happened. But yeah, it was a great, nice little match that. I think I could have done better, but I'll come on to that in a minute. Anyway, Paul, how thick are your back floats? I'm coming on to that as well. I'll be showing you them in a minute. But can't make how thick the body is. Okay, well, I'll come to that again, as I said, in a minute, surely. Herman, what about colour of the hooks? Right, that's a good question. In combination with the colour of the bait, red maggots with red hooks, with maggots with silver colour, like that. What's your opinion? Right, I'll answer that one quickly, Herman, because I was talking to Bob Nudd not so long ago, because we were chatting during the lockdown, and I was asking questions, all these questions, like you do, and he was telling me that he uses red hooks. Now, I used to use them years ago for bloodworm fishing, but anyway, because I use predominantly red maggots these days, I thought I'd buy some. So I I bought some Drennan Reds, and I bought another make, can't think of it, and I used them. And yes, I actually used them yesterday on Port Talbot. Now, I'm in the process of uploading the Port Talbot vlog, so you'll have to bear with me on that one, but that's coming on later this evening, okay, for the guys who are watching. So, as I say, it's an interesting development happened yesterday. I'm not going to give anything away until you see the vlog, and I'll talk about it again next week. Thanks for that. Dave, Clive, what weight float rods to swing them pups in? Okay. Well, that's a good question because, right, a lot of people would, when it comes to a 12-ounce fish, net them, which is quite understandable. And, which is really your best bet, not to lose any. However, if you are catching a quantity and at a quick rate, then it comes a decision: do you swing them in or do you net them? Now, over the years, we used to do a lot of bagging up sessions on the River Usk down in South Wales, which we carried it forward then to the Wye. We've timed ourselves when we worked out which is the best way to get a net of fish, a quick bag of fish. And we found that if you swing them, you will lose a few. However, it does make up for the amount of time that it takes to net the fish, if you understand what I mean. Now, there is a little secret with swinging fish, same with dace and chub. You don't swing them in when they're still flapping, okay? You gently bring to the surface, and you just gradually, slowly pull them, and they come up like that. If you try reel them in and then try swinging them, they'll be like this, and they will fall off. So the secret is, with the bigger fish, is to bring them up closely, and then as they're sort of guided on, without them flapping, with them on the top of the surface, you bring them in, and they come in like a die, and you can catch them easy. Okay, so I hope that's answered your question there. But yes, when you're bagging up, it's far better to swing them, knowing that you will drop off one or two. But as I say, that's but again, that's your own preference. If you prefer to net them, then great. Then obviously less chance of losing any. Okay, yeah, John Haddon. Thanks for the vlogs. Great to follow the ups and downs. Yeah, well, I'm not like the other vloggers. I don't put just the good bits. I put the bad as well. The good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak. So yeah, Purse seem to be the feature quite a lot in the catches. Yes, okay. Do you think they are more than about this year? Yeah, right. Yes, John. There's definitely more predator fish around because the water's been low and clear. And you haven't got the colours, so you're not catching as many roach and the other bream, skimmers, that sort of thing, and perch are making their way in. And you have to target them these days. No, I don't target them as much as other anglers, because I know up on the 7 and the float only competitions, a lot of the anglers were actually targeting them. In other words, they put chop worm in, and putting pole floats, holding back. I just like to fish the maggot, knowing that I will catch the perch along with other fish as well, because when you fish for perch with worm, you're eliminating a lot of the other type of fish. So there are a lot more perch around. Okay, thanks for that. Right, what I'd like to do is just quickly go back on last week's vlogs, and as you all know, Wednesday I was up on the it was the last of the float only league, and it was interesting because unfortunately, this is the first year that I haven't made the frame, because if you have been following my vlogs, you know the choices I made between going up there and or fishing the Avon at Evesham. And I messed up on the two of them, and unfortunately, I did make some mistakes this year. However, this last Wednesday, I drew peg 40. Wasn't a particularly great area. Apparently, good winter area, because especially in like 44 and 46, so they're deep, and the water backs up when you got a lot of water on. And in fact, I had 18 pound on one match last year or the year before, and got in the frame. So I knew it's a good area, and I had drawn this 40 before, and I knew there are a known perch area. So it's got like a backwater, but I decided to fish on the top end to try and catch the main flow. Because if you fish actually from the peg 40, if anyone knows Bewdley peg 40, they know that it's a bit of a back eddy. And anyway, it was on the ticket. It said you can move, so I moved 10 yards up, which gave me the room to be able to fish it. And if you noticed, I fished off my rod end with a little stick float and come into the bat floats and a bat float. Now, these basically were designed many years ago, fishing the River Wye, and they were big, huge ones we used to use for float fishing, to cast out in the middle, hold it back in the flow, and you could hold a big float on a rod line in the middle. Well, anyway, this was long before pole fishing came in on the scene. Anyway, when pole fishing came on the scene, then and these probably come out before the later if you like the round lollipop floats, and so I went back to the old design. Now, the original design were more like an L shape, a flag shape. Okay, and this was, as I said, this is big tips. And of course, I developed these, I remade them. But the problem I found after using them for a while, that when you held back, the tip of the balsa was rising to the surface. So you weren't quite getting the right presentation, if you like. And of course, it wasn't so sensitive. So with a little bit of ingenuity, what we've done, if you look, the difference, we then start to shape the float slightly. If you look at this now, with an angle up that way and a longer piece that way. So basically, when you hold this back now, that doesn't come to the surface. What you do, you slightly overshot it, if you like, to the bristle, and you can hold it back with a rod and line, just like you're fishing a stick float or any other, and you could actually hold it and inch it along the bottom, and with a boat down and a couple of number 8s or 10s or so, you can hold it back and you can give a great presentation, and it'll pick up fish where, as you know, with a stick float, you run it through. Even if you hold the stick float, it's still going down the water, a lot quicker than it would if you're using a bat float. So the idea of this, you can actually hold it dead still in any part of the swim you want to, and hence it picks up a lot of fish. As I say, I call them bat floats because they're designed like, if you look them upside down, it looks like a bat wing, but they are like a flat float. Now, as you can see by the narrowness of the float, it's just a few mils. You can actually make them thinner. You don't want to make them any thicker, just make them thin. Make sure you put your eye on the top, of course. Cane stems or metal stems, whichever. And as I say, they're quite easy to make. You just shave them off, and obviously you need to dope them and then paint them and so forth. But that is the bat float, and that's what I used on the Wednesday. And as I said, I ended up with 11 pounds, which is quite a good weight from that swim. And as I said, I won my section just out of the main money, by the way. Yeah, 17 pounds. There was a couple of 17, but it fished well that particular day, and that was great. So hope that answers that a little bit. Okay, I'll come back to a couple of questions. Andrew, I had that on Saturday, Jack Pike spooking the fish. Don't talk about pike. They're bloody nuisance, excuse the French, at the moment. And if you see my blog later on, I got one on, didn't know what it was, and when it surfaced, it was massive. Anyway, that's on my later vlog. Neil, hi Clive, enjoy your performance on the Wye. More tips to you from beautiful fishing. Yes, I'm going to come on that in a minute. Andrew, can you avoid the nuisances? Well, I've spoken about this before, Andrew, and pike will attack a fish that's in stress. In other words, and it's, especially when it's on the hook, it's splashing about and so on. Well, a few years ago, I used to study fish, as you know. That was I was an ichthyologist, which study of fish, and when I was young, we used to study all types of species. And anyway, what I found with pike is that they're in the water, and you've got all the other fish swimming around them, and they won't bother them. They won't attack them because they know they're going to waste energy. They really don't. They are predatory fish that attack at sight, basically. Now, what I found is that if you reel the fish in very slowly, you can actually reel it in, and the pike wouldn't take much notice of it because they think that it's not in stress. And basically, what'll happen, they'll leave it alone because they won't exert the energy. Because a normal healthy fish can't be caught by a pike, but if it's in stress, dying or moving around, then it will. In other words, and if you're reeling it on a reel, then obviously it's not as fast as it could swim if it was on its own. So the pike will attack it. So I learned by bringing the fish in slowly, okay, then the pike wouldn't attack the fish. Now, the trouble is when you're match fishing, it's a terrible thing to be able to do that, to actually do it slowly, because any minute you think it's going to grab it, and, it's hard to resist it, and unfortunately. But the worst thing is when you try to swing it up out of the water, as soon as it comes to the surface, the bloody pike grab it. So the answer, I don't know. If anyone got a better idea, let me know, because I tell you what, that can save me a lot of money and a lot of other anglers. I'm sure it will. But it's a good question, Andrew. Anyway, David, I enjoy your vlogs. Have you ever had to go sea trout fishing, fished on the river at Tivy near Newcastle? Okay. Yeah, we used to have fish with sea trout on the tap many years ago. When they used to run up every year. But it's not a fish I target nowadays as a match angler. You don't. We used to catch a fair share on the Wye, but I don't like killing fish. I'll give you a little story. I was on the Wye once fishing, and I caught this trout, and I thought, oh, it's nice. So I'll take it home and eat it. Well, when I gutted it, inside was another fish, and I thought, oh, I said the fish is only there and eating for survival. I'm not eating the fish to survive. I can go down the fishmonger and buy a packet of sardines or something. So anyway, I thought after that, no, I'd never kill a fish again, and I never did. And if I catch a salmon, sea trout, whatever, I'll put it back. And but if you enjoy doing it, then good luck to you. Right, David, I enjoy your vlogs. Right, John, hi, Clive, from Gary Webb, Clive, do you know what happened to the old nomads and Welsh international John Williams? Yes. Unfortunately, if it's the same chap I know, to the dock and lake to the mono, does he still fish? Right. I'm not quite sure, to be honest, about this John Williams, but there was I think, Andrew Williams, I think, just recently got killed on a motorcycle accident. I hope and pray it's not the same one that we're talking about. But he used to fish Port Talbot, this one. But anyway, that's enough of that. Right, Neil, do you still regularly make your own floats? Yes, I do. If you go to goldmedalfloats.co.uk, I still make a few. I do it as a hobby. I try not to make a living out of it because there's no money in it, to be honest with you. But yes, if a lot of the floats I do make for the guys, the floats you can't buy in the shop, like I'm just making a couple of floats now for one of the chaps, a bristle sticks, a stick float with a bristle in the top, for sensitive type of fishing, and also chub floats and sliders and that sort of thing. So yeah. Okay, anyway, coming back to Wednesday, there's a couple of questions coming up. Stuart Nilkins, he mentioned, when you get a tangle and things, why don't you throw a bomb out or something, while you're undoing it? Well, that's a great idea, but unfortunately on the Wednesdays, it's a float only, so I couldn't do it, So, but it's a great little tip, that, because, especially, for example, like on the following day on the Wye, I had a tangle and a bust up. I could have quite easily, I didn't think about doing it, just lob a feeder out, while I'm doing it, and keep an eye on the feeder. If it goes wrong, then you've got a bonus fish you wouldn't have had while you're undoing a tangle or tying a hook on. So yeah, it's a great little tip. So, you can pick up these tips from everyone, which is great. Right, now, Devon Shire, that must be some sort of pseudonym, but he's one of the subscribers, and he asks, how does he get on the list for the Wednesday float-only matches? Well, as far as I'm aware, they are sellouts, but there are places coming up, and what you need to do is go to Kidderminster Anglers, either on Facebook or to their website, do a search on them. Jeff Maguire, who runs them, if you ask him, he'll be able to tell you whether there's, if you like, any places available. And if there is, then yeah, great, put your name down. It's a great league, and it really is, fantastic. And it's a float only, and it makes it really, really interesting as well, for guys who like float fishing. Okay, and then Paul Taylor asked, what close face reels do I use? Well, as you probably all know, I use 501s, 506s, 507s, and I also use the 1044 Abu as well, which is an old one. But as I mentioned before, close faced I use mainly for most type of my fishing. The only time I don't use them is for ledgering and feeder fishing and big heavy like chub fishing. Because big, when you're catching 4 pound, 5 pound fish, they're just not strong enough to sort of to last the day, if you like. Okay, right then. So that was the Wednesday. So as I say, there was a great vlog. I won the section. In fact, I think I've been picking up money over the last few matches now, so which is good. It all helps. Whether it's a section or whether it's a place money, it doesn't matter because it all helps towards the fishing. Which is great. Anyway, coming back then to the Thursday, and Thursday was the Y. It was well, it wasn't a match on the Y in particular. It was called the Three Counties match last year, and it's run by Jim Burton. If you know Jim, he's from the Midlands, and he runs charity matches for cancer, for prostate cancer. The reason being is he had it once, and the doctor saved him, and he's made it his mission to raise funds and money. And he runs all these matches throughout the year on different venues. A lot of people will give up their time, and also a lot of associations will actually give them free entry, if you like, so you don't have to pay the day ticket. Anyway, this particular match, we actually put a team in last year. That was one of the subscribers, a friend of mine, Russell Millwald, and a chap named Mark Wosenall, who's from the Midlands. And we put a team in last year, and we actually won it. So there we are. But this year, we thought we'd enter again. And and last year, the three venues were Bewdley, Bridgnorth, and the Welsh Raven. Well, this year they dropped the Welsh Raven and they put the Y in. Dave Roberts kindly, Hereford Anglers, they kindly gave their waters up. And it happens to be at Brighton, which is the top of Hereford. Bit of a long walk for anyone who ever wants to go there, but it's certainly worth the walk. And if you looked at the results on the Hereford, on the Facebook, you see some great weights all the way through. Now I managed to draw one above the peg I drew in the match last year, in the charity match. And if you watch that vlog, you know what I mean. It's the one where they had a hole in the net and I lost a load of fish. But this time I made sure I didn't have a hole in the net. and I had a nice day. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed I didn't catch any big chub, only just the one. All the rest were, as you say, were puppies, 12-ounce ones, and I had a nice day. Ended up with 30 odd pound. As I say, it was a bit frustrating. The guy above me, he actually won the match, and he had 37 pounds. He beat me by 7 pounds, but he's had 6 big netters, so that made the difference, And of course, it's a shame that I'd never, I didn't have any big ones. But Andy Walkman and Wayne from Worcester both mentioned, why didn't I trot the meat? Well, at the time, now this is a cardinal sin, I didn't take any with me. I normally take it with me, but I had corn with me. So I did catch a lot on the corn. And they are quite right. It's only over the last few years since the Midland boys been fishing the Y that they started using, meat. And they're using, if you like, 4 mil cubes. They're cutting up 4 mil cubes and they're fishing it over hemp and they're fishing it over maggot or whatever. And they are picking up the bigger chub. So that's a great tip. For anyone, who's fishing the Y or any of the rivers like the Severn and that, where there's bigger chub and you're trying to get away from the small ones, So, yeah. And corn is another one now. One guy, Jason Bean, I think he won it with nearly £100 or just over £100 of chub back last year using corn. So, these big particle baits are starting to work, So it's definitely worth taking some with you, a night live bait. You can keep it, until you won't need to use it. So it's great. So that was a great little tip there, and a great little mention about meat and also the corn. Um, Steve Collins mentioned no pike attacks. Yeah, well, up the top of the Y, there are pike there. Don't get me wrong, but not so many. And they're big alligators. They're massive things, but you don't get as many. And I tell you what, it was a pleasure fishing a match without a pike attack. I'll be quite honest with you, that was great. But yes, thanks for mentioning that. Peter Harris mentioned as well about the camera angle. Well, I was fortunate enough that I had the camera sort of above, because most of the time I put the camera on a stand and I try to, if you like, angle it so you're over my shoulder. And then obviously the higher I can get it, the more a better view you can see of the fish and me fishing. So yeah, so that's something I've got to work on. In fact, my tripod will go higher, and I'll have to start learning to do a bit higher. But I've also invested in a body camera. Okay, there you are. It clips on the front there. So now when I'm making my vlog, you should be able to see a close in work, me putting maggots on or tying hooks or even the float and when I'm casting. Because of the nature of the, I don't know, of the, what do you call that? The camera, it sort of bellows a little bit. So it looks like the rod's bent all the time and the whole horizon's bent, but it doesn't matter. At least it picks up, everything I'm doing. Now, I did use it on my latest vlog, which I done yesterday, which I'll be putting up later, by the way, on Port Talbot, and I did use it. But the only problem is I have a problem because it only records in MOV filming. And of course, most films that go on YouTube and that have got to be MP4s. So I got to convert it, and it takes ages to convert it. But I've actually recorded the whole match with this, but I've only put a small bit on because what I intend to do, anyone who subscribes and who would like to join my Premier side where, then you can watch the whole video. But more about that later on anyway. So that's great. Okay, anyway, come back to a couple of questions. Right, Neil, do you, yeah, hi, Clive, from Steve Bell. Hi, Clive. My missus says, hi, she's called Wendy. Okay, hello, Wendy, you watching? Nice to see you. It's nice to see some women, sort of fishing as well, joining in. I know, many years ago, we had a couple of ladies fishing with us, and yeah, it's good, nice to see them. And I used to talk to Mrs. Bell, Wendy Bell, I think her name. I would always say hello to her whenever she'd come to Evesham, and she always sat behind, to watch me. So that's great. Oh, what's that? A fish eye lens. That's it, Dave. Well done, mate. Yeah, but as I say, it's something that maybe I'll be using more of, and I'll try and intermingle it with the camera, the overshot of the camera as well. So if any tips on that, give me an idea. Okay. Right, now let's have a look. I've got a couple of other things here. Right. Now, as I said, those are two matches I fished this week, and I fished one yesterday. As I said, I didn't do any traveling because I wanted to fish a bit more local. But I want to give a shout out to the Riverfest boys and John Locke, who won the match, 90 odd pound of bream. You actually won it on the first day, which is a shame in a sense because I know there's got to be a winner. But when over 2 days, if you get a particularly big bag, you can't be caught. It's a bit of a shame because the others are all playing catch up. They're all fishing for second, third, or fourth. But anyway, even so, it's a great little win for him. I followed John, and I know that he's a particularly good feeder bream angler on the Trent. So, as I say, it fell in place for him, and he's won it, and it was fantastic. So, as I say, it's one of them things that it's a great match to get into if you can. Very difficult now these days. As I mentioned before, I qualified 3 years running, and I thought it was easy, but it's not so easy now these days for some reason. Just need a bit of luck of the draw. It's like everything is like all matches. Hiya, Mark. Clive, I fish a river that's about a wee wider, medium flow. Would you use a heavy waggler so you can mend the line easier? No, I'm going to. Right, I don't know if you observed it on the vlog I done on Wednesday. Now, I fish a waggler a little bit different than others. A lot of Midland anglers and people on the Wye actually fish the waggler downstream. In other words, they cast in downstream and they feed in downstream and they keep the bait downstream. Well, that's great. The problem I find with that, of course, is that if you're encroaching on the guy below you, and of course, if you got no one below you, then fine, then you can do it. What I like to do, and I think it goes back to the international days where you're given your zone and you fish from right to left. Well, I still do that with my waggler fishing, so I have to mend the line quite a lot. In other words, I'll sort of feed just slightly upstream, cast out in front of me, and as it goes down, I have to mend it a couple of times. Now, I try to use a floating line when I'm angler fishing for that sole purpose. Now, it doesn't matter if you've got a little bow in the line as it goes down, because the idea is to let the float go down without impeding it, without coming off its line. So by letting the line out slowly, and then now and again, you just mend the line, and then, and if you get a bite, you can strike into the little bow, which acts as a buffer, and again, that's a way of fishing. Now, to eliminate the bow either further, and that is to fish actually downstream. You will always get a little bow in the line, unfortunately, but at least it's not so prominent when you're fishing downstream. So there's a little tip for you. So as I say, if you're having a problem with that bow in the line, and there's especially when it's windy, by the way, so you can cast downstream, sink the line, but bear in mind the surface of rivers normally flow faster than underneath, and so what happens there is that your bow will be created as you go along, and you have to mend it. Okay, so that's a good question. Andrew, are you going to give us some shotting patterns for stick, hemp, etc.? Well, yes. If you go to the website goldmedalfloats.co.uk, Andrew, you see there's a lot of shotting patterns on there for all the floats. As I mentioned on my question and answer vlog last time or the time before, I've written a book, and a website, and it's all the known floats that are available. As I said, over the 50 years I've been fishing, I've learned most floats, and I put them together. And as I say, it gives you some insight in how to use these floats and the shotting patterns. So if you go to the website, have a look there, and it'll show you the hemp, and it'll show you the other type of shotting patterns as well. Mark, sorry, 20 meters. Oh, right. Oh, that is narrow, isn't it? 20 meters, not that wide. You could probably, okay, Well, in that case, as I said, try fishing downstream as long as you haven't got an angler too close to you, and you can feed the fish, because otherwise you'll be feeding his fish as well. Although it's a good idea to draw his fish up sometimes, but no, try that and see how you get on. All right, Andrew, you're welcome. Brian Evans, Clive, I noticed that you used Abo close face reels. Are they all modern, or like me, still using the Abo 506, 505, 506? Yeah, they're the old ones. In fact, before I come on air, I was going through my little box, and I've got all, if you can see that, all my bits and broken ones. Well, unfortunately, somebody did send me a message about 501. He's having a problem. They're coming like a coffee grinder, and basically, well, that was okay. Yeah, I think I've done this one. But what you need to do is obviously, that's not a 501. You have to take the obviously the plate off. There's the inside of it. You have to give it plenty of grease, but take it apart. And what happens sometimes is it wears away, the sort of round ratchet in there. And so when it picks it up, you know what I mean? If you look at this, you know that, and then it starts to grind a little bit then, which is unfortunate. And if you can get spares, you know, you should be able to repair it. There are companies out there that you can get spares for by the way. So yes, I still use 501 sometimes. Very light, small, great for small type fishing, you know, and quick fishing as well, as I mentioned before. You know, fingertip dab, release, quick pickup. You know, you're in control at all most times when you use close range reels. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm the old guard, and I still, I'm still use stick floats and things like that, stupid things. And people these days use bloody poles, don't they? I still use pole, of course. But anyway, that's to answer that. Right now, coming up this week, I got the charity match on the Y next Sunday, so that's interesting. Obviously, it's going to be down to the draw. I think it's a well, I wouldn't say a sellout because I think he's not closing the books. I think he's got 90 to 100 people. Dave Roberts. If you want to book into that, by the way, you can go to the Facebook page, Y Winter League, and you'll see that the entrance you can just put your name down, and I'm sure Dave would accept you. And that's next Sunday, and that'll be all the way through. That'll be up at Brainton where I fish Thursday, and it'll be right down right down to the bottom as well, Field Farm. But there are some long walks, so you do need to basically lighten your gear up. So yeah, okay. Right now, I'm going to open this now to anyone. I did mention I do coaching. Now, this Thursday on the Y, I'm going up on the Y to coach an old friend of mine. I've coached him half a dozen times or more. I won't mention his name, but I'm meeting up with him on Thursday. Now, anyone who wants to fancy coming for a day, not coaching, because obviously I won't be able to do that, but if you fancy coming up, meeting for a day's fishing on the River Wye, we meet at Woody's, the tackle shop, at 9:00. And anyone who wants to come along, they're more than welcome. Be nice to meet any subscribers who do arrive. And as I say, if you want to fish, it's only going to cost you your day ticket. I think it's 10 quid. Come along, and if you meet us at 9:00, you can come along with us and do a bit of spotter fishing. And there might be some tips you want me to show you. I can do that. So it's a free coaching, but not a one-to-one coaching where I can spend the whole day with you. Because normally when I do coaching, I'll spend the whole day with somebody and go through all the methods and put them right, and hopefully at the end of the day they've learned a few things. And but again, that's this Thursday coming. So as I say, you can always message me, let me know if you come in. If not, just turn up. It'll be great to see you. Okay, so there we are. That's open to all the subscribers who's taken the time to come tonight and come on the this live question and answers. Okay, so that's a little freebie for you. I'm going to probably make a little vlog of that as well, by the way. So, right now, any more questions? If you want to, just fire away, because I am a bit short of material today, because I've been a bit busy today, to be honest with you, with all my other business. Because when you go fishing as often as I do, you do neglect your other stuff. So yeah, right. What's that? Yeah, Mark. Well, Clive, what a King James man. Okay, mate. Yeah, well, if you're around Mark, I don't know if you live anywhere near there, or I don't know how long does it take to get to Hereford. But as I say, the reason I'm doing that, by the way, because I noticed Des Taylor done it on his on one of his blogs or vlogs on the Facebook. He offered people come along for a day, like, and a few went up. So I thought, yeah, it's a good idea, and I'll do that. Okay. Andrew, hi Clive. Can you remember the last 20-foot rod used and where? Ah, right. Yeah. Do you know what, Mike? Well, uh, before the Bolognese rods come out, you could get 20-foot rods, of course, and the one I had was trying to think of it. It's a company that make rods. I completely lost you now. Up in the Midlands, no, up north. It was a brown rod. Oh, do you know, it'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, that was my first 20-foot rod. Then, when I was sponsored with Shimano, then 21, 23-foot rods come out, Bolognese. And I tell you what, they were actually lighter than a 20-foot rod, because 20-foot rods would come in four pieces, but a Bolognese is a telescopic rod that is hollow, and it just basically, as you say, comes out very, very light. And I ended up with two of them, an Aspire, which is an 18-foot. I still got it, and as I say, the Shimano, and they were far better. And I don't know if you see my blog last week, but when they first come out, I remember doing I went fishing with Kevin Ashes once up on the Trent, and on this particular stretch we were fishing Log Higgin or somewhere around there. The wind was quite windy all the time, and a stick float was the way to fish. And of course, if you went further than the rod length out, the wind would blow your stick float in. But he came up with the idea of using these long Bolognese 23-foot rods, using a stick float, so you could wind it right up and just release it, and you could travel down the swim. The problem, of course, if you hook it, you've got a long length of line, when you bring in a fish in. I did use it on the Y once, I never forget, and I was catching some big fish, and of course the top of the rod bent right over. But what I've done, I started pushing the telescope in to make it a smaller rod when it comes to netting it, which made it a lot easier. A bit cumbersome, but it did work. Yeah. I still can't think of the name of the 20-foot rods, but it was a few years ago. Now, of course, I use very rarely you use 20-foot rods, or even Bolognese now, because we don't really fish those deep waters that we like they do on the continent. But there are areas where you could use it, of course. I mean, you could use it on the dock where I fish, I suppose, 20-foot water or more. But there's also the parts on the wide, the 7 you could use. You could use it. And it's great for, like, if you're fishing a distance, you can pick a line up quite quickly with them as well. So, yeah. So definitely, I'd invest in Bolognese rod if you're looking for long rods, because if you get the right one. As I said, Cadence, they make a nice 17-foot rod, which is quite light, well, they make 15, 16, and 17 foots, and they're quite good. So you can look at that on Cadence website, they're quite good. Okay, let's have a look. Hang on, sorry, we lost it. You're coming in quick and fast now. Right. Okay, Neil Smith, what do you think of the Environment Agency banning anglers on the River Severn taking salmon for the table? Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry, Neil, I can't really comment on that because I didn't know. Banning anglers on the River Severn taking salmon. Okay, all right. I don't know. I'm not a game angler. I'm not. As I mentioned earlier, I don't take my fish home, even if I did catch a salmon. So I can't really, comment on that too much. Okay, marine fish. Thanks for the invite, Clive. Yeah, you're more than welcome, John. Okay, John. Hemp seed seems to be very small at the moment. Yes, it is. Too small for hook and too light to feed. Do they riddle the big grains off to sell off premium? They probably well do, John. They probably well do, because they grade the hemp, don't they? A lot of it comes from China and they grade it, and they charge appropriate prices. You get the big king size. I think the king size is actually a different strain anyway. But yeah, I have noticed a lot of the hemp is very small. I mean, I got a sack of it here and it's fine. But don't dismiss that, because on the Avon this year, and a couple of anglers will tell you that the smaller seeds actually catch the fish better than the big seeds and the medium size. So yeah, and don't forget, you can always crush hemp up, mix it with ground bait. You could riddle it off yourself if you like to get your bigger ones for your hook baits and that. But yeah, it is difficult. I noticed this year. I'm sure it'll come back again normal. Just keep an eye on that. I think. Um, okay, Paul Jackson. Hi, Clive. Would ever cross your mind to fish a centipede in a match, or would it be a bit too slow? I suppose it would be a bit slow now these days, but I have used them many, many years ago, and so did a lot of anglers. And you know, the presentation where you can hold them, sort of stick floats back, yeah, they would work. They would work extremely well. I'm sure they would. Would you use them now these days? Not really, because they are a bit slow, especially on the way. I mean, we used to bat them. Remember, we used to bat them and to bring them in, but you couldn't bat them with a fish on. You have to reel it in pretty slow. I tell you what, I did use centipede. I got to tell you, it was when I'd done a bit of commercial fishing and we were fishing rods and line off our rod end, and of course, with a pole elastic, you're up in arms, weren't you? The elastic is stretched and you'd be trying to get them in. Well, we come up with this idea of this fishing centipede close in for the carp, and we duck them, and and of course, by reeling them in slowly, they come in easy as well, don't they? The carp, I don't even notice that. When you reel them slowly, they do come a lot of, when you're trying to use a thick spool, you're ranking them in, they do fight. But with the centipede, they come in quite easy, don't they? But yes, yeah. I don't know if I'd use one in a match, but you never know. You never know. I did have a batch of them last year, bought secondhand, but I sold them off now. Anyway, but that's a good question. Yeah. Okay, Scott. Hi. I'm struggling to fish hemp properly. Do you always have to use light floats on the drop, or have you any success using a bottle float, etc.? Okay, Scott. Well, look, there's a couple of theories on this. My theory is very light down, almost as light as you can, will produce a better bite. Now, I know Ian Shepherd, who's a past master at hemp fishing on the Avon. He's always in the frame, brilliant. He's very light down, but there are other guys like Howard and other people like that, Howard Kay, who would fish a bulk down, but again, light underneath. I think it's something you've got to try on your method, on your water. Try the two, which works best. But personally, I prefer very light. And another tip, I mean, I'm going to make a vlog of it, a video one day, but when you feed the hemp in and you only feed it very sparingly, when you lay your float out like that and it travels down with the hemp, okay, sometimes you go over the top. What you need to do is lay your float above the feed, okay, as you put the feed in, and as the line comes down and goes sort of under the water, and as soon as it gets down the bottom, you get bites. Try that. That definitely worth, trying. Okay. As I say, it's a vlog I'm going to make one day, so I'll let you know when that happens. Right. Bollock. Well, with the bollock, I'm not sure about the bollock because it's too bulky, in it, I mean, so yeah, try and use light floats. Roger. Hi, Roger. Hi, Clive. Great vlog. Your river catapult takes shot of punishment. What Nasi do you prefer? Do you know, I was buying the Dren elastics and that, they kept bloody snapping. So what I done, I went on eBay and I bought some surgical elastic, right? Trim diameter. And it's never ever broken since I've had it, and I bought them at the start of the season. And you know me, I'm banging them out, wanging out all the time. And never frays, never breaks. Little tip for you, okay? Yeah, you buy the commercial like Drennans and Middies and all that. They don't last 2 minutes. Buy surgical, it's the same elastic, same everything. And as I say, they don't let me down. And they haven't, none of them snapped since I've had them, so I do give her a bit of punishment, as you can see on my vlog sometimes, I stretch it right out, bang, and great. I tell you what does happen is the bloody cup breaks or frays, so you got to get more cups. But elastic, no. Okay, little tip there for you. Okay, David, hi. Clive, I found a web page where you put together a peg-by-peg account of Belmont. That's right. Yes, I did. Yes, that's my on my angling news website. Because I don't know if you're aware of this, but when the internet first came out in 1989, 1990, it was 91, 92. My brother, I was fortunate to be involved in the internet with my brother, who had an internet providing company, and I set up. I was the first angling website and angling news is still going today. I don't update it these days as often, like because Facebook is a lot easier. You because it's instant, and you can upload stuff on Facebook, even YouTube, and people can see it straight away. And it, but yes. If you go on that my website, there it is a peg for peg. Now I've done that a couple of years ago. Things do alter and change from season to season, but I haven't. Let me just finish reading what you've asked. A peg account of Belmont on the River Wye. I'm going to say I found it very informative. Okay, yes. Well, it's more or less as it is, and it's I've done that 10 years ago now, but those pegs are all more or less the same. So what I would like to do one day, which I may spend the time, and that is actually do a video vlog of every peg. So instead of a written vlog, actually do because these days people prefer to see things visually, don't they? And that's why I make vlogs now. I don't do blogs. And I can't be bothered now to go home and write down what I caught and how I done it. It's not easy to make a vlog, isn't it? And you're not telling lies. Then people can see exactly what's happening. So so that's something I might do. Perhaps at a later date. Do a sort of a visual vlog of all the pegs. Okay, thanks for that. Paul Jackson, hi. How and why do you choose to use maggots rather than casters, and what drives your decision? Okay, well, I suppose I'm a maggot man. I'm a Dave Thomas maggot man because Dave Thomas, world champion many years ago. I use maggot. I will feed casters, but fish maggot on the hook. There are occasions where I will use casters on their own, usually when I'm just targeting roach, and usually it's a second swim, where I'll feed casters, but I'm feeding the main line with maggots. The reason I fish maggot is because they catch, maggots will catch any fish. They'll catch perch, where they need, don't get me wrong, perch will eat casters, but they're more liable to go for a maggot. Okay, there are occasions on some venues, mind you, where they know what a maggot is, so the only way is to fish casters. So predominantly mainly maggots. And the other thing is, if you notice, I used red. I used to use bronze years ago. And I tell you what made the decision. I used to go to Ireland and everybody used reds over there. And then I noticed all the international lads use red. And then I looked at red bloodworm, and the natural base bloodworm, joker, even worm, they're all red color, aren't they? It's more natural color to them. Plus, I then looked at the scientific evidence where red is is still visible at a depth where other colors become invisible, if that makes sense. If you know what I mean, Google it, and it should tell you all about it. But also, what really changed my mind is I was fishing on the Wye using double maggot and in Denmark, by the way, and I put a red and a bronze on, and if I'd miss a bite, I'd come back and I always noticed the red maggot was sucked and the bronze wasn't. So then I thought, right, stick the red, and I don't confuse the fish. I don't put mixed colors in. I just stick the red, and red is the bait, and it's been successful for me over the years. And to be honest, I think most anglers are using reds now. Everyone I know seems to be using reds anyway. All right, sorry, little tip there for you. Okay, right. Okay, John, Clive, do you still see Keith Arthur about to work in George's tackle shop in Hackney? Not seen about. Yeah, I was talking to Keith Arthur the week before when I made the vlog on the Tide Fest. Unfortunately, my sound let me down. I don't know what happened on my camera, and I'd done a nice little interview, and I wish I could have showed it because poor old Keith, it was the first match. He's fished for over a year. And he was telling me that his wife unfortunately got dementia. He's the main carer and he's got to look after her. So, he's curtailed his life really while he's looking after her. But he's a great guy, Keith, isn't he? As I said, he did write an article about me in the Anglo Times the other week, didn't he? Saying the unsung hero, which overlooked, which I suppose I am by, as you say, most tackle companies for sponsorship. But anyway, that's another thing. Keith's a great guy and he's doing well. I'll give him your regards if I do see him again. Okay. Okay, Craig. Hi. What would you say the best day's fishing you have ever had? Well, apart from like winning world championships and being in the natural scene, runners up and winning the team events and all that. I suppose I'll tell you what sticks in my mind, and it's a couple of things. In fact, I like to think I was a pioneer in fishing, because years ago you had to be a pioneer, you had to think outside the box, and there are a couple of things that spring to mind, one thing is that I was the first to start using a pole to hand. I made a video of it, and I remember fishing the River Wye in one match, and I won the match. I had a big audience behind me watching me, and and now, as you know, a lot of people will fish the pole to hand on the Wye, or big long whips now they use, don't they? The other thing which always sticks in my mind is the bread fishing. Very underrated method on the River Wye. I still use it. I still start on the bread, although I didn't on last Thursday, by the way. But usually I start on the bread, and if they keep coming on the bread, I'll stick to the bread until it dies off, then switch to the maggot. But I can remember doing a lot of practicing on the bread. We used to catch 100-pound bags of chub. And, again, that's another vlog I'd like to make one day. I'll show you how to use big chunks of bread and balls of ground bait and you cast the big ball, the ground bait in swim, it explodes and you cast your bread leg in the middle of it and it all travels down together. It's a great method, catches lots of fish. In fact, I did won the River Fest, didn't I, 2 years ago, one of the qualifiers on the Wye using the bread, 50-odd pound I had. But what I do remember, and I did enjoy those days, was, as I said, fishing the bread and coming second in the Wye Championships twice, one with 84-pound and one with 82-pound. And the year I had 82-pound, the guy won with 84-pound. Again, fishing the bread. Everybody else using maggots and casters and God knows what meat and that, and I fish the bread. And so, yeah, those are the days I always remember, which were great, and I enjoyed them days. Other days, of course, Irish fishing. I remember going to Ireland for many years. Not so much for the fishing, I suppose. Well, yeah, the fishing was good, but the nightlife and and meeting all the other guys. Yeah, so yeah, I got some great memories. You should buy my autobiography. Tells you all about a lot of these things in there. Okay. Okay, Neil. Right, Clive. I have an Abu, 1044. I keep having problems with it when sometimes it makes a rattling noise and then it works okay. Yeah, well, again, it's probably the cogs inside. You need to open it up. In fact, I got one here. I got the same problem. Okay, put a line stuck right. Yeah. Same problem now. So, yeah. Is that the one you got, the 1044? Yeah, that's the one. So, yeah. I don't know, it's all about the engineering, isn't it? I mean, these people, Abu Garcia, they copied the Abu 50156s, and it's generally the same sort of mechanisms inside. But again, you would need to take it apart, look at the cogs. If the cogs are worn or if they're broken, then you're going to get that crunching, grinding, and you're not going to be able to, sort of run it smoothly. It's going to keep sticking, a little bit like this one. Yeah, see, this one's doing exactly the same. So yes, you need to, I'd say, take it apart, have a look, And if it does need replacing any of the cogs, you need to get them replaced. I'm sure there's companies you can get them. You can get replacements, even if you've got to buy another old one or a disused one for spares. And like I've done, I got like half a dozen or more reels there that I swap and change bits and pieces around till I get one working. But yeah, okay. But persevere with it. It's worth it. Once you got them running smoothly, because I got a good perfect one now I'm using. So yeah, okay. Stuart, I think I mentioned you earlier, didn't I, Stuart? Yes, a small bomb. That's right. Yeah. Even Clive, did you make your own feeder rods in the 70s, 80s, splicing? Yeah. Uh, I recall sundry discovery were good to commit. Yes, you're right. Do you know? Yeah, yeah. In fact, I still do it. I done one of the most sacrilege things not so long ago, a couple years ago. I had a Normark microlight, and when the tips break off now and again, I don't know. It's still soft, but it's doing one quite right. So I chopped it back about, I don't know, probably 18 inches, and I put a splice in it to make it even softer. Well, it was like a floppy banana, but it worked a treat, and I used it for many years. I never ever bumped a fish off with it ever. But of course, sadly, last year it disintegrated basically. So I've had to put a new tip in. But yes, we used to do that. We used to get the old glass tips, put them in. We used to get the sandpaper, run it down and make it as thin as we could. In fact, I've got a couple now. Yeah, I'm just thinking now down in my garage there, which we use. And I don't know if you used to do what we did. We used to paint it black and white, yeah, with white. And then we used to get a target board. Remember the target board? I don't know if any guys you know this. And we used to put a little. It's like a square onto a bank stick, black, and we used to put a little white dot in it. And then what you do, you'd eye up your quiver tip, and you to that eye. And then if you get the smallest bite, you can see it. You can see it. Yeah. Have you ever done that, Stuart? Yeah, yeah. Those are the days, weren't they? Of course, I on Facebook the other day I put a picture up of swing tips, and I said, I wonder if the younger generation know what they are. Well, I had loads of comments. I had 600 odd comments about it, saying, "Oh yeah, swing tips," And some said, "What's that? Is that your waggler stuck to your tip of your rod or something?" But they were sensitive. Remember the old swing tips? Yeah, great fishing. Don't know if people use them now these days. I can't recall anyone, because after that, of course, they started making the quiver tips with very, very fine, very soft. I mean, a couple of lads on the dock, they're using these rods. They're paying fortunes for them. They're paying a couple £100 for these quiver tip rods, and they're very sensitive. So yeah, I remember that. Right, Andrew Gadd, Clive. When all us oldies have left this planet, what's going to happen on the river scene? Do you know what? I've thought about this, Andrew, and as we old ones, as you say, again older, going past it, there's not enough of the younger generation coming into this sport. There's really not. I mean, I don't know if you remember when I was a kid, we used to have loads. We turn up at one of our junior match, there'd be loads of them. And of course, a few fall by the wayside, a few kept going. And now when you get to our age, sadly, they're all either passing away or whatever, and or can't fish because of ill health, and which brings me back to the point that, and there's a lot of anglers, and I'm glad I'm making the vlogs, because there's a lot of anglers who can't get out these days, and they love watching. I had a nice comment the other day off an angler, a 90-year-old angler can't go now anymore, but he loves watching the vlogs. This is great. But anyway, no, I think it's all about the younger generation, and really each one of us, we should help a youngster. We should try and go out of our way and help one of the younger generation to keep in the sport. Otherwise, it's going to die a death. I mean, I can see it happening. I know commercials I know they're in it for the money, but at least they do tend to attract a lot of the youngest anglers into the sport. But when it comes to rivers, no. I mean, there's a few around. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Evesham, for example, they got a great bunch, of youngsters coming through. And so they're still out there. It's up to us. It really is up to us at the end. I mean, I done my bit many years ago, helping lots of youngsters. And doing free sessions with them, and yeah. So anyway, that's a good point, that Andrew, and I'm glad you brought that up. But yeah, something that we, if we can, try and help as many of the youngsters as we can. Stuart, yes, happy days, Clive. Rod, but it was a good old chunky thing. Yeah, it was. Remember the old butts. I remember some people used to put weights in the bottom, didn't they, to balance the rods? But this day and age, you don't. I mean, yeah, Andrew, you totally agree. Yeah, it is sad, really, when you think about the rivers. I mean, when I was fishing, when I fished the Wednesday float only, I look around. There's 2, 3 anglers younger than 40. All the rest are like 50 and 60. And my age 70. Anyway, what's time? Oh, all right. Okay. Listen, I got to apologize to all the guys who tuned into my other live stream, which I couldn't get back on it for some reason. I don't know what happened, but so I had to redo this, and hopefully you all saw it and you jumped on to this. So, and I can see the audience growing, so that's great. And as I say, I wish you all well. As I say, next week I'm on the charity. Fingers crossed. Let's look for a good draw. Don't forget, anyone around at about Thursday, I'm up on the Y. Come and say hello. If you want to fancy, come and join us for a day's fishing. There's plenty of room, plenty of room there. The other thing is, yes, don't forget later on, after this, I shall be putting my yesterday's vlog on Port Talbot, which was interesting to say the least. I'm not going to tell you because, as you know, I won my last 2 matches there. See what happens yesterday. Come back and enjoy me. Oh, Alan Davis. Hello, Clive. Really interesting. Listen to you. Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah. Okay. Well, as I say, this is certainly my third question and answer vlog, and it's okay. I'm enjoying it. I mean, obviously not getting a huge audience yet, but I'm sure that'll come. Birdie Bird. Hi, Clive. What would be your favorite peg for a chance of a big net on the way over the colder months? Do you know what? The peg I fished, or the peg above where I fished on Thursday, it's a flyer. You won the match, it was £38. Now, last year, I think John Holloway was on it. He won it with 90 odd. The year before that, Alan Bick won it with 90 odd. And it's in that area that Lee Edwards broke the river echo with £300. So anywhere up the top of Brighton would be very nice. But there's also some good pegs down in Field Farm in the winter as well. Of course, the Belmont section in the winter is probably one of the most consistent because it's deep and the fish tend to move there this time of year when it gets cold. So, but anywhere around Hereford, up the top of Boothwells and the shallower bits not so good. Even lower down is quite good. By the way, below Monmouth at Big Swear, Redbrook, and around there, if you get as interesting, you can still get day tickets for it. Yeah. Okay. Tight lines, Stuart. Okay, Andrew, nice to see you again. Okay, Alan. What I want to say, Clive, do you think that the shooting really matters? I've always just used 4 shots. Oh, shot in. Sorry, shot in really matters. I've always just used 4 shirt buttons and never let me down. No, that's right. Yeah, well, shirt buttons. That is, all you're doing is you're weighing the line down, and as long as you do them evenly spaced, you're basically, when you stick flow fishing. I do tend to go a little bit lighter, mind you, after that, because you want to get as much natural presentation, but still weigh the line down, obviously for the fish, especially if you're, as I say, stick flow fishing, or even if you're fishing a bug down, you still need that little bit of finesse, But yeah, it won't let you down. Won't let you down, as I say. Will Russell be there Thursday, Dave? I'm not sure. I haven't even asked him yet. Not sure. Stephen Peters, how you mate? Yeah, so there. Okay, well, I think I'll call that a day now because, as I say, it's been on an hour and a half now, and it's, as I say, next Monday. I'll try and get it right. If you're roundabout and you got nothing to do, then come along, say hello. Any questions? Want to talk about the vlogs that I put up already, and the future ones coming up, and any tackle talk. I was going to talk, as I say, if you want about the bat floats, by the way, go to my website, goldmedalfloats.co.uk, and you'll see them on there. It'll tell you how to shot them and how to use them. You can use them with a rod and line, you can use them with a pole. It doesn't matter any way you want. Okay, that's about it then. So thanks for watching, and nice to see you. And you, Roger, nice to see you. Hope to see you next time. Bye for now. Don't forget to come back to watch the vlog later for the yesterday's vlog. Okay, bye now.